late 1999, Christopher arrived in Mexico, and shortly before 10 o'clock, Christopher arrived here, and we welcome him.
Mercy. I suspect I don't have my mic on yet. Okay, hopefully. We're going? Oh, yeah. Do we ever? Anyway, thanks. It was a wonderful introductory piece of music. I love that. I love the thought. Being a circle of light, the angels and all of that. Because, you know, on some level I've recognized through the passing of time, we are energy. We are light. We really are densified light. But I'll get to that in just a minute. My subject, I don't want to spend a lot of time on. How many people are familiar with the concept of synchronicity? Probably a huge amount. Good, pretty many of you. You can get an immense amount of information on the internet. Just put it on a Google search, synchronicity, and you'll come up with, go to Wikipedia, look at that definition. That's quite nice. I'm just going to read a few highlights. I went to 3 different sites when I put synchronicity in. This one's from Reality Shifters. Just say, synchronicity is the occurrence of a physical event in the world which occurs at or near the same time that it is being discussed or thought about. I mean, I'm sure some of you have been watching TV thinking you've got to call a certain person and you're engrossed in the phone rings before you even go to call, and there they are. That's a good example of synchronicity. Synchronicities are patterns that repeat in time. Synchronicities are people, places, or events that your soul attracts into your life to help you evolve to higher consciousness or to place emphasis on something going on in your life. Each day your life encounters meaningful coincidences, synchronicities that you have attracted. Your consciousness is constantly interacting with all levels of yourself. That's a pretty profound thought. In a minute we'll think a little bit more about how large we really are. Oh, I'm glad I said that. That introduction about being $13.7 billion, I mean, $1 billion. You can see where my mind is. Yes, survival consciousness. Well, there's some synchronicity to that, the fact that I said that. Freudian slip. 13.7 billion years old. You might wonder, what's he talking about? For references, the Big Bang. Scientists, they're not really fighting the concept anymore about the age of the universe or how old are we. When people ask me these days, hey Christopher, how far back did your ancestors go? I go, as far as I know, at least 13.7 billion years. They're going, what? Because I recognize, if that's the beginning, that the molecules I am now, they were in that Big Bang. I mean, they were there. And you too. Whether you like to admit it or not, but find a physicist to discuss it with. Nobody argues about this anymore. There's no argument. I don't think. I mean, there might be an argument. You can have an argument. Argue about anything you want. That's okay. Okay. Here's a really great example of synchronicity that I love. I'm going to avoid the Jungian example about the scarab beetle, because probably a lot of you know that one. But I love this one. Perfect example. Oh, pardon my French. I'm English. I have no French. So my pronunciation of the French names is probably not right on target. I didn't ask anybody ahead of time. Here it is. A well-known example of synchronicity involves the true story of French writer Émile Deschamps. In 1805, he was treated to some plum pudding by Monseigneur de Fontgibaud. 10 years, yeah, that's right. Forget it. Okay, 10 years later, he encountered plum pudding on the menu of a Paris restaurant. and he wanted to order some. But the waiter told him the last dish had already been served to another customer, who turns out to be Monsignor de Fontgiroux. In 1832, so 12 years later, Émile Deschamps, he visits a restaurant with a friend and is once again offered plum pudding. He recalled the earlier incident and told his friend that only Monsignor de Fontgiroux is missing to make the setting complete. At that very moment, a senile Monsieur de Fontgiroux enters the room by mistake. Okay? And a lot of people believe there is no such thing as an accident. So, basically, another statement about synchronicity. This is a statement made by Jung, Carl Jung, in 1945. And interestingly, Carl Jung is the person credited with the concept of synchronicity, which emerged in the 20s, somewhere in the early 20s. He didn't really formally start talking about it apparently until much later. But here's just one little sentence about Freud. I mean, not Freud, sorry. I don't want to confuse him. Freud was a teacher, the father of the subconscious, the student, Carl Jung. He's the father of the unconscious. Try to get that straight. A lot of PhDs that get paid giant paychecks aren't clear about that. I've been to plenty of lectures where the PhD's talking about Carl Jung's, Freud's unconscious. And later I go, hey, he didn't even relate to the term. He was a subconscious. They go, oh, I gotta go to my office. I go, okay, goodbye. I don't get paid much around here, but I just thought I'd put my 2 cents in. Anyway, this sentence, I recognized intuitively that matter and consciousness, far from operating independently on each other, are in fact interconnected in an essential functioning as complementary aspects of a unified reality. Okay, that's great. Oh, good. This gets me down to my last. I'm not going to go on and on about the concept because you can get tons of information if you have enough interest on the internet. The concept of synchronicity is currently linked more to metaphysics, yet physics, quantum physics in particular, and metaphysics, they're merging, thus showing their interconnection and how we manifest synchronicities in our lives. Okay? Now that leads me to the introduction of this. I brought a number of books that are, for me, have been extremely important. This is one of them, Molecules of the Mind by John Franklin, The Brave New Science of Molecular Psychology. It's about the foundations of neuropsychology. This interfaces nicely with last week's talk. John Franklin, in my opinion, he's a fantastic author. This was copyrighted in 1987. He won the Pulitzer Prize for a couple of articles. 6 of the articles in the series are in this book. I just love this book. I regret that I didn't start reading it again a month ago. I just only picked it up within the last few days. I love the man's style of writing, and it's written like an adventure story. What?
What's the name of the book?
Molecules of the Mind by John Franklin. Anyway, it's beautifully written. And I lost my train of thought there in a way, but it's an adventure story, although it's scientifically based. And it's really a really interesting story. Like you're turning chapters. Even if you're tired, you may get to the end of the chapter, you're like really like, what's he talking about? What's coming up now? You're going to go to the next chapter. Well, let me see what's happening in the next chapter. This is one that it leads you into the next chapter, in my opinion. I think it's a tremendously exciting book. Interestingly, in his introduction, he's talking about Carl Gustav Jung. So he's talking about Jung. And that introduces my first encounter with Carl Jung was in somewhere after the fall of 1962, when I went to the University of Kansas to do my undergraduate work in painting. One of my professors, my first professor of painting, Robert Green, brought in a hardbound book one day, and he said, I would like to mention to the class the importance of this particular book, and I highly recommend that you look at it. It's called Man and His Symbols, Carl Gustav Jung, the hardbound edition. So Professor Green gave a strong suggestion that maybe you want to take a look at Man and His Symbols. Well, I went out and I bought the book. I read the book, and it really resonated with me. I thought, wow, this Jung guy is quite a guy, quite a character. Well, he keeps popping up throughout my life. Throughout my life. Again and again, over and over. So here, another one. One of my first introduction to metaphysics and mysticism was really through the book called The Chinese Book of Changes, the I Ching. How many people are familiar with that? Oh, great, a lot of you are, yeah. It's really a fascinating, this goes way back to the times of Confucius. It goes way back to the Asian mind, and puts an emphasis on the importance of what we might consider chance experiences, just the accidents in our lives. A lot of people, if a person is highly left-brained or rationally oriented or intellectually oriented that way, they may not make a lot of room for the feeling side of who they are. And you hear that discussion many years ago. Left brain, oh, he's so left brain, or oh, he's really right brain for a man, because women are generally associated with the right brain, the feeling side, the intuition, and the men are more associated with the left faculty, the analytical faculty. So it's not a problem. I mean, our journey may be about finding our balance and finding that place, and maybe there's a happy middle ground there somewhere that might enrich our lives in unseen and unknown ways. So I get introduced to the I Ching way back in the late 60s when I'm at the University of Washington in Seattle doing my graduate work. Somehow, I can't exactly remember how, but I remember being at probably a small party, and this book was on the table, and I'm, what is this thing? And he goes, oh, you want to do a Ching? Like throw some coins. You throw 3 coins 6 times, you create a lower trigram with 3 lines and an upper. And you get feedback. 64 trigrams in the cycle. Well, just to give you a little taste of it and what it is, I threw one this morning. I thought, hey, why not consult the Ching? Because I did a lot of traveling. My friends, I don't know, they were thousands of miles away, my good friends. I was alone. I was running around in the mountains and going different directions, whichever seemed like the right direction to go. But I always carried this book. In fact, the very same book that's in my hand. My many thousands of miles of trips. This book was in my pack always, because I could always have a source of wisdom, always. Call it the oracle. What did I throw today? When you throw the coins, if you get a very strong yin line or a very strong yang line, that's a changing line. This fits in with the concept of Taoism and Confucianism about when you become saturated in a certain direction or certain anything. Supersaturation leads to the other, starts moving towards its opposite, like a pendulum. The pendulum only goes so far left before it starts going to the right. It's just the way it is. It gets all the way to the right, it's going to go back to the left. And the same in our lives. This is the Asian mind thinks this way. So it's very much part of this. So what did I throw? I threw number 55, Ben, which is abundance and fullness. And here's how it reads. The speech is like symbols. And you'll integrate this, the meaning of this will be integrated in your interior. So it will be an individual understanding of what they are telling you. But here's what it'll sound like. And this is what it was like for me when I was first introduced that day. He goes, Chen is movement, Li is flame, whose attribute is clarity. Clarity within, movement without. This produces greatness and abundance. The hexagram pictures a period of advanced civilization. However, the fact that development has reached a peak suggests that this extraordinary condition of abundance cannot be maintained permanently. And that's the introduction of the hexagram. And then they go to the judgment, a few lines on that. Abundance has success. The king attains abundance. Be not sad. Be like the sun at midday. And then a little explanation, a little paragraph. It is not given to every mortal to bring about a time of outstanding greatness and abundance. Only a born ruler of men is able to do it, because his will is directed to what is great. Such a time of abundance is usually brief. Therefore, a sage might well feel sad in view of the decline that must follow. But such sadness does not befit him. Only a man who is inwardly free of sorrow and care can lead in a time of abundance. He must be like the sun at midday, illuminating and gladdening everything under heaven. And then they say a few little lines about the image. Both thunder and lightning come, the image of abundance. Thus the superior man decides lawsuits and carries out punishments. And you might think, what in the world are they talking about? Because when I consult this thing this morning, I'm considering it's us. It's about us. It's about not just me here being separated from you. I'm not separated from you at all. We're sharing the same air. We're sharing molecules on an intimate level that probably makes some of us a little queasy. I don't know. But others maybe are happy. Okay. This hexagram has a certain connection with Shiho biting through, in which thunder and lightning similarly appear together, but in reverse order. In biting through, laws are laid down. Here they are applied and enforced. Clarity within makes it possible to investigate the facts exactly, and shock without ensures a strict and precise carrying out of punishments. And then they have a section on each of the lines. This hexagram this morning, it had four changing lines in it. So then you read the section on the lines. Oh, what did it shift to? Oh boy, yeah. Just wanted to tell you. Oh, whoops. Because it had the changing lines in it, you have another hexagram to look at. So it's saying, really, here the momentum is pointing in this direction. That's basically what it's saying. It changed to number 41, which is soon, sun. If I'm Oriental, maybe I go soon. I don't know, maybe I'm right. Decrease. Decrease. Fits perfectly with the concept, the Confucian concept of fullness and Taoism. You reach a state of fullness, it's like the pendulum. Only goes so far left, starts moving to the right. You have the abundance in this moment. Here's the oracle talking about abundance in respect to this moment, us being here together. It moves towards decrease. Makes total sense. I'm not going to read further. Because I don't really, I feel extremely limited here in terms of this particular venue. I mean, to try to say anything very meaningful in like 40 minutes is pretty tough. Okay, one last comment about synchronicity before we move on. The concept of synchronicity is currently linked more to metaphysics, yet physics. Did I read that already? Okay, perfect. I'm going to read it again. It's only 1 second. Because it introduces my next. Okay. Yet physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics are merging, thus showing the interconnection and how we manifest synchronicities in our lives. Okay. Back to John Franklin. One thing I want to say about this, I highly recommend this book, and it fits beautifully with the talk last week, I mean. there's a comment in here. He's really talking about the miracle of who we are. Because if we look at who we are from just an egoic perspective, we start to look at our personality and what our self-concept is all about. So kind of like, that's a limited view. No matter how great you think you are, you're Cassius Clay, I'm the greatest, I'm the champ, and all that. Still, he's limited. He got knocked down. The day came when he hit the mat. Got a little too full of himself. But so there's that view, the limited view from the ego. The ego is really important. The Tibetans feel like, hey, you got to have an ego. Got to have a personality to live. It's absolutely essential. Okay, that's great. I accept that too. That resonated with me when I came across that concept many years ago. But, it helps to pay attention to who that personality is. Keep an eye on the ego a little bit. Don't let it get too carried away and start playing a role of supreme dictator. In Molecules of the Mind, John Franklin points out what it takes to even speak. We're all this neurochemistry in motion. Every sensation we have, every thought we have, every feeling, you feel cold, you feel hot, you feel a touch, you feel a taste. It's because millions and millions of neurochemical reactions fired off. He estimates, and I haven't, not a single person has argued with this yet. Every time I mention this, he mentions it takes 6 million chemical reactions to form one syllable. Every 3-syllable word I utter is 18 million chemical reactions. Now that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Just like this chemistry, it's got to be moving, I say, Christopher thinks, the chemistry called awareness, tied to our awareness, is moving somewhere near the speed of light. Nobody said, Christopher, I have an issue with that. I mean, you're a couple 100,000 seconds, 2 milliseconds, fast, slow, whatever. Nobody ever argued that point yet, but I think, man, this is totally amazing. Chemistry in motion. What are we really, in essence? Start thinking about who we are on a quantum level, a micro level. Look at the atom, and beneath the atom, quantum levels. Start moving down. What is the atom? What is the physiology of the atom on a quantum level? You get to the conclusion, you think, wow, it looks like we're nothing more than densified light. It looks like we got to be living light in motion, in constant motion. I consider that a real miracle. I consider it the miracle of life. And this is why that little recognition in my mind is, Christopher, you are so blessed and so lucky to be alive and to recognize this point of awareness. Not just me, but you are too. We all are. It's an absolute miracle that we would have this almost like vision opened up of who we are, potentially who we are, and the fact that we're this living life in motion. So I just love that concept, and I love this, absolutely love that book. And if somebody has a solid argument for me about, no, he's got it all wrong, let me know. I'd love to have a discussion with you, and bring your info to the table, and let's have a cup. I'll have decaf, and you can have, let it, and we'll work it out. Drink your green tea or chai or whatever it is you're on. So, he keeps showing up in my life. I had a few good examples about synchronicity in my life. I'm not a world traveler. People that didn't travel much or didn't take a lot of risk, they considered me a world traveler. And I said, I'm not a world traveler. I only went, across Canada. I've been everywhere in America except for Alaska and Maine. I was close one night and I'm not crossing the line into Maine at night, you know? It seems like a real insult. So, but I've been through Central America, Guatemala. I lived down there with the Mayan Indians for a year and a half. Lucky to get down there in the late 70s when it was a village without electricity around Lake Atitlan, if you know that. This one's called Santiago Atitlan. It's across from Panajachel, where the Pan American Highway comes through there. But they had dirt floors, straw huts, and a smoke hole. And if somebody invited you over for tortillas, you'd be off in the corner sitting on a grass mat. And the hostess is like clapping the tortillas, toasting them up, and flipping them at you when they're ready, drinking your tea. Really a magical place. And I spent a year and a half there, and I left when they got electricity because it was too irritating. All of a sudden, wow, these like electric poles, these buzzing, and the electric corn grinders all of a sudden, that always had a tin roof over it. Oh man, it drove me crazy, like really quickly. I thought, man, that's the end of this. The magic bubble, boop, popped, and I'm getting out of here. So I went back to the U.S., crossed into Nogales, and it darn near killed me. It was the intensity. Honking horns, the loudness of the society. I have a pretty loud voice because I'm hard of hearing. So at least I have a good excuse. But when I got back to America, I thought, man, everybody's voice was just knocking me over. It was like killing me. And it was really painful for me. So it was like really difficult. And I was trying to work my way up to Seattle. So, and I didn't have a big bankroll in those days. So I was like, tight budget. What do? You're down in Tucson, and you got to get up to Seattle, and you got $5. Are you going to go stand by the freeway? Darn right. You think I'm going to waste time looking for a job sweeping floors just because I want to get to Seattle? No. Not. Anybody familiar with Kerouac? Was it on the road? Yeah. Let me just tell you, I've been on the road too, like thousands and thousands of miles. It's the same road, basically. Change the names, change the dates, shift the situations a little bit. Same for you, same for me. I'll tell you, it's the same now. You got to have the guts to get there, get out on the freeway and go. I didn't like the thumbing thing. I thought, I don't like that. So I go like this. So I got just point and go. Do I need to tell them what I'm doing? What do you think I'm doing? Standing there with this big old pack that looks like only a homeless person would want this thing. That was my plan for not getting rolled. I thought, man, make sure you take everything not a single person would ever want. You know what? Delivered me out of all troubles. I met some desperate individuals on the road that definitely sized me up. And they looked at me, where in the world did you get that pack? I said, well, it was actually a throwaway. I think it was like a half a step from the trash bin. And my friend said, hey, you're going on the road, do you have a pack? I said, no. Oh, here, take this. Oh, I love that pack. Raggy old sleeping bag that did keep me warm. Space blankets were the secret. If you ever had to sleep on ice and snow, saved my tail a couple of times. 2 space blankets, silver interior, just one on the bottom, one on the top. I swear you can actually sleep on solid ice and be warm, but you're going to get up with ice in your beard or your mustache. Just the way it is. Not really a real problem. One of my synchronicity stories. I'm on my way south. I go south, I go north, east, I go west, go here, go there. Grand Canyon, blah, blah, full moon, you name it. So I'm going south. I'm just out of Reno. I'm heading down to Lone Pine, California. This is a place I passed the year before, and I thought, man, I got to go back there. But I'm standing there. It's taking forever to get a ride. Here comes a giant semi down the road. Big, beautiful semi. And I can see there's this beautiful blonde woman sitting next to the driver, like really radiant, like a clear aura. I thought, my God. And there they go. And they're just smiling, and they're waving at me. And I had a little teeny dog I saved, gas station one night, real late, and the guy goes, "Hey, buddy, you don't take that dog. I'm feeding it to my big ones." He said, "You want to save the dog or not?" And I go, "Well, is it a male or a female?" He goes, "Oh, it's a male." Well, it wasn't a male. I mean, I thought, that's a male. Like, it took me several months to notice. But, look, dogs weren't my thing. You know. I just knew. But I thought, the dog has a strange way of going to the bathroom. And somebody said, "Christopher, that's a female." I thought, boy, that guy pulled a fast one on me. Anyway, so here's the truck with these beautiful people, gorgeous woman, right? That's 1975. Okay. 3 years later, I ended up in a healing center up in Montana, North Lavina, Montana. Virginia Fidel. I don't even know if she's still on the planet, but she's an very gifted aura reader. You can see the aura to infinite degrees. Had a great deal to say about it. One day up there, she goes, "Christopher, were you hitchhiking down south of Reno several years ago?" And I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "Well, we passed you on the highway." I thought, there it is. That's one of my synchronicities. So, I forgot the other two. No. That's synchronicity. So, but I just want to say, like Carl Jung, he just keeps repeating. Oh, okay. Your time is with it. Time goes by. I'm impatient. It's time to go south again. So I head south, down north of Death Valley. I love Lone Pine, California. How many people have been there? A lot of you. Good. I love that place. Absolutely love it. There was a center of higher consciousness, Franklin Merrill Wolf. Anybody ever heard that name, Franklin Merrill? Oh, good. Only one. That's not good. But it's good that somebody did. But feed into my yoga stories. The I Ching led me into the metaphysical quest. That was my beginning of metaphysics. It led me. Next step for me was the way of Zen, Alan Watts. Somebody handed that to me. I was in Hawaii. Christopher, I really think you really get a lot out of this book. I love it, Alan Watts. What do I remember? He refers to us as food tubes. I thought, oh, that's an interesting way to talk about human beings. Well, the food goes in here, it comes out somewhere else. So it's got to be a food tube, right? Okay. So it really resonated with me. So I'm living near a Zen temple in old Hotel Street. If you look towards the mountains, you see the top of a pagoda type thing. It's some kind of temple thing. I was in a little apartment there. A light bulb hanging on a cord, nothing else. And a neighbor I never even met, I shared a bathroom with. Cool, but I'm practicing Zen, right? So Zen started. Then I move into the different yogas as I start to become conscious of these psychophysical centers, the chakra, the 7 chakras from the bottom, the seven psychophysical points on up to the crown chakra. I'm practicing yoga. First I start with the Zen. Then I'm doing Hatha yoga, that's lower chakra stuff, doing the asanas, the positions, and your spine straightened out. The exercises. I'm moving up into the power chakra, right into Sri Chinmoy. I'm running into ashrams too. Yoga centers, ashrams, people that are practicing these different yogas. There's like different steps. So I'm moving up into that. And the people that have studied with different high-powered gurus, they're coming into my life, telling me about their stories. Come on up, here we go. Heart chakra, finally, Bhakti center there. Hare Krishna people, perfect example of the Bhakti. Fourth chakra there, love. That's where they're focused. That's why they sing to God all the time. That's all they're singing about. They're not crazy people in orange robes that were maxed out on smack or something. Some of them may have been, but they're all in remission, really. Somebody said, Christopher, they're not on drugs, they're on sugar. They eat a ton of honey. think? Are you Christians? I don't know, but it was a great experience. During that time, and I'm here and there, this town and that town. Why is it? I get to the town, they go, oh yeah, the Krishna temple's over here. And I go, yeah, I'm only 2 blocks away. Oh my God. So I go over for a love feast or a meal, love their food. Later on, as we move on up, chakra, crown chakra, the Raja Yoga, Franklin Merrill Wolff, Lone Pine, California. He writes the philosophy of consciousness without a subject and without an object. He's an old guy. I met him when he was in his early 90s, and I was with him for 7 years or so. He made it to 98. He's a chain smoker. He loved to sit there and light up his Pall Malls and his filter, and he'd go, I'll never be a smoking statistic. Nobody ever argued. And we're all going, he goes, well, I'm sorry. We're going, damn, I don't know if we're going to get a smoking effect by being around this guy. But he was quite a guy. But he loved to sort of like joke about Hatha Yoga. Because to him, he's the royal yoga. Yoga of the mind, really. Use the cognitive factor. People with active minds, they love the royal yoga. They're not doing the asanas maybe, but he'd like to joke about that. I'm not going to sit around with my heel up my, you know what? And we go, yes, we understand, but nobody's going to go, do you understand the value of like getting your spine straight? Like, he needed somebody to talk to him that way, but nobody's going to waste the time. He was really committed. I'm down in that area. I go down to visit some friends on one trip. I have some friends, people I just casually knew. And they're living in a homestead up above Rose Valley, south of Lone Pine, California. Maybe, I don't know, I forgot how many miles it is now. 30-something miles south of Lone Pine. They say, hey, Christopher, come on by for a visit, man. We're in this homestead in the mouth of the canyon, Tunaway Canyon. There's a natural spring there. And the spring put out about 40 gallons a minute as far as I could tell, right in the mouth of the canyon. And it was like loaded with obsidian chips. It didn't come from there. They came from across the valley. The obsidian quarry was across Rose Valley, directly across from me. There was a pumice mine over there. And there was some clay pots and stuff, hot stuff down in the bottom, right? The Indians hung right where I did. It's a game trail. Plenty of deer coming down over the top. Right behind me, the mountains were 13,500. Am I out of time? Because you're coming up. What happened to the 10-minute sign? Okay. Anyway, no way in the world I'm going to finish my stories, in 40 minutes. So maybe you're lucky and maybe you're not. But I'm sorry. Forgive me for not speeding it up. A little sidebar of things I said. Because I had some great synchronicity stories. This is one of them, actually. When I was in this place, let me just tell this one. I'll tell you, as brief as I can. Look, I'm sitting in the house. Spring, wet snow comes. Giant cottonwood by the house. Thick snow on the roof, on the cottonwoods and everywhere. Somebody said, get up. Get up and go outside. So I just get up and I go outside. Here comes an eagle, sits in the tree. I go, oh my God. I said, thank you so much, thank you. Eagle takes off, heads east, goes down into Rose Valley. A month later, neighbors are up. They know I'm an expert at finding arrowheads. Oh, Christopher, God, it's so weird. That eagle that got electrocuted down on the ranch, the hay ranch. I go, what? The eagle got electrocuted. So I run down there and I think, God, it's got to be the eagle. Yeah, he was on power lines. Got electrocuted and fell by a big round circle of water. And there was like little fluff feathers. But I had a dream vision. I saw this feather. This feather in the dream vision. I think it's a feather. So I went down there. I ended up with the right wing of the eagle somehow.
Christopher,
yes.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
I know.
I'm going to invite those of you who need to leave, because we do adhere to a time schedule, not to feel badly about leaving. And those of you who would like to stay on for a few minutes and hear these wonderful stories, Christopher will be here for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'll be here for a few minutes. Yeah. Sorry.
course, we can open this for questions. I just felt like you were in the middle of the story, and I just have.
Well, you mean I can finish that?
Well, you have 103 stories. We all know
You're
that.
right, yeah.
But I would just like to say that your humor is, in my opinion, your greatest strength. And there are not that many people who are serious about a subject who have humor. I have a question to ask you about fear. You said you took great risk, such as hitchhiking. I at 79 still hitchhike. Up here when they will not give me a ride. All these gringo women, they go by in their cars, they will not give me a ride. So after a while, I hitchhike. Where are you with fear?
I surrendered on fear because I realized it was going to drive me nuts. Either you let it go or worry yourself to death. So I let it go. And I thought, I invite whatever to protect me. I say, you take care of me. I'm just one of your children. I go, hey, I called God by many, many names. And it didn't really matter. But sometimes I go, man, I really need some help right now. And if you're not going to help out, there's going to be a real problem. I always got help. I was always delivered. That's all I can say. So I had to let it go. Just let it go.
Christopher, if you would, finish your story that you're in, and then we have a question to follow up with that. We're going to take
About the eagle, you mean?
whatever.
Oh, the electrocuted eagle, yeah. Oh, the dream. Well, the dream feather. Oh, between the eagle landing in the tree and the ladies, the 3 women coming up to look for arrowheads, and we found 3 women came up, and we found 3 arrowheads that day. But I did. They were really mad at me. I only regret I wasn't such a serious collector of artifacts at the time. I mean, I really regret that I didn't go, okay, Beth, Bertha, you get this one, Maria this, blah, blah. What? The feather. I had a dream about, I saw a feather, an eagle feather in a dream vision, which was part of a dream story. When I started working with the transpersonal psychologist Drew Joy's Way, in that same place on that ranch, the homestead, I started doing dream work. And he said, keep a piece of paper by the bed, and you might start having dream recollections. Well, in no time flat, I was getting dream recollections, but I was getting dream stories. I was getting dream songs. I was getting this incredible stuff coming through. But I had a dream story with the eagle. The eagle was a really important part of the hero of the story. That story is, oddly enough, it's very much like the Harry Potter story, but years before they ever coughed it up. And I had it was a long synopsis of the story. I remember I passed it on, and Lord knows whatever happened to it. I don't know, because I'm really slow, and I may have started one. I'm not going to say I'm writing a book, but maybe I will.
Question here.
Yes.
You've entertained us with your stories, and the topic was synchronicity.
Yes.
If you were to summarize in 1 minute the essence of your message, what would it be?
That we are all one. We are all connected. We are all energy. We are living light. So's an animal. I hope that's not disturbing to you. On a quantum level, an animal. It's densified light. So it too. And if Deepak Chopra was here, let me point out, you're mostly space. We're 90% space on a quantum level. You think, good Lord, what a strange illusion we live in here. We appear to have substance and form and all this. This is all in our minds. But on a quantum level, we're mostly space. And we're 75% water. I talked about that 3 talks ago. But
Thank you
keep
for
your
that.
water up.
Thank you for that summary, Christopher. I want to ask Christopher if he can stay around for a few minutes after
Sure.
Do you have a little time?
Sure,
And
sure,
perhaps you'd like to meet with him over here. Also, please turn on your cell phone